2008 at 6:30 p.m. Could we have roll call, please?
Ms. Kraut.
Here.
Ms. Roscoe.
Here.
Ms. Frere.
Present.
Ms. Buckley.
Here.
Ms. Lanasi. Present. Mr. Minkiewicz.
Here.
Mr. Kudik present.
Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item would be the approval of the consent agenda. We need a motion and support.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
We have a motion by Mrs. Buckley, support by Mr. Kudik to approve the consent agenda. Are there any board members or anyone in the audience that would wish any of these items to be removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, we will take a vote. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda signify by saying yes.
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 All those opposed would say no. We have a 7-0 vote. The motion passes. Anyone that has a cell phone, would you please turn those off for the rest of the meeting? Thank you. The next item would be the report of the superintendent. Mr. West.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're privileged to have three presentations tonight, all focused on student achievement and instruction. We're going to begin this evening's presentation with Merriman School. I think we have a fairly sizable contingent from Merriman here tonight. Ms. Williams.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good
My
evening.
name is Kay Williams, and I'm the principal of Merriman Elementary School.
Okay.
And throughout the
Microphone.
You
presentation-
need the
sorry.
microphone right there. You might have to check to see if it's on.
Testing. Good evening, everybody. My name is Kay Williams, and I'm the principal of Merriman Elementary School. We have a presentation of our highlights at Merriman, and I brought with me 3 students, 3 teachers. Our teachers are Miss Lisa Evans and Mrs. Hannah McNamee. Our 3 students are 6th grader Mr. Tariq Hadeen, 4th grader Mr. Erasmo Sanchez, and 5th grader Miss Ashley Lutman. And throughout our presentation, and our learning specialist, D. Rob. Can't forget about D. And throughout our presentation, these unique individuals will come up and talk to us. So we're going to begin. Merriman Elementary School, our motto is reaching for the stars together. Our mascot, we are the superstars. Our highlights for this evening will be our partners in ed, their parent, our student-run all-star bookstore, our Stars After School program, the multi-age classroom called Macville, Math Stars and our Super Solvers program, our reading programs, Writers Rock program, our teacher parent resource centers, school-wide activity meetings, and our newest addition, the Merriman Credit Union. We have over 7 partners at Merriman, and we have many individual community members who partner with us. This is one of them. This is an engineer from GM, Mr. Jay Prestige, and he comes to Merriman to talk to our 6th graders in our Career Pathways program. The parent, you receive a copy of the newsletter monthly in your board packets. This is an initiative that was developed to bridge the gap between home and school. Along with the newsletter that we publish monthly, we also do parent workshops. We did a workshop with our parents on math. We did one on reading and one on writing, and we did one for discipline called Making Your Child Mind Without Losing Yours, which was kind of popular. And I would like to bring up our students to talk about our student-run bookstore, and while they're coming up, I'll tell you a little. This is a grant I wrote for a bookstore. The students they run the bookstore. They use real money. We have real materials, and they're going to tell you about their experiences.
Yeah, the students will.
The first thing for the books the first thing for the bookstore is the application. You have to make sure that you have correct spelling. If you don't, you will not get in. For this application, it's a form of questions that you have to fill out, and there are different jobs that you have. You could check more than one. What I checked was cashier. The cashier is the person who takes care of all the money, and the stock clerk is the person who makes sure everything is in order and they have what they need, and that's what I came. And there are 2 letters of recommendation, and you have to make sure you get your parent's signature and your teacher's. Your teacher will sign it if you are good and you have good grades and you pay attention. And here's Rasma with the second step.
Second step, interviews. First thing you'll get is nervous, just like right now. Also, second thing is questions. One question is, why do you want this job? Am I responsible? Am I a leader? And what is my skills? One of things were, why do you want this job? I wanted my job so I could work younger. Second thing, am I responsible? Yes. Am I a leader? Yes. What is my skill is reading. That's why I choose book critic. Third step.
Working at the bookstore was a good experience because I got to work with real money. Unexpectedly, someone stole our merchandise, but luckily the security guards got on the job. Stock order, we had to order books to stock them, and we had pencils, erasers, books, and so on and so on. Being on time, you had to be at your job by 7:45. You get money taken out your paycheck, and we only get paid $2.
Thank you. Let's give them another hand. They did a great job. They were nervous. Now here to talk about our after-school program called STARS is Ms. Lisa Evans.
Hello. I'm involved in the STARS program, which is Strategic Tutoring for Academic Results and Success. We focused our first, we broke it down into constellations because it's STARS program. So our first constellation was grades 4 through 6, and we practiced with money concepts, decimals, and place value. We did a lot of readings on different books, and then we did a project called If I Had $1 Million, where we gave the students $1 million, and they were very excited about it until we took the taxes away. So they got to spend their money and see the effects of savings. Our next constellation was kindergarten through 3rd grade. We did reading and math. It was a hands-on. We used lots of manipulatives. The kids were very excited about it, got to learn how to multiply in different ways, and got to get the hands-on to really understand the techniques that we were teaching. Then the drama club also started in the second constellation, where it was a writer's craft. They focus on genre and the different traits of writing. Our last constellation, which we're in right now, is Constellation 3, and it's grades 4 through 6. We're back with them. We're on writing this time. Our group, the tutoring group, is doing a school newspaper where they're interviewing people, getting ads for the newspaper, and doing a calendar. And then the drama club is having auditions. They had auditions, and they did it for the cast, advertisement, props, and they're doing their culminating activity on May 13th, which is going to be their presentation of their play.
The next person is our multi-age classroom teacher, Mrs. McNamee.
Hello, I'm Hannah McNamee, and I am the multi-age room classroom teacher. Our classroom is built on technology in a family setting. I've integrated a community with our classroom where each child has a set job, and they're responsible for their duties along with that job. And the neat part about that is it's taught the children how to work in a community setting, how to trust their neighbors and one another. It's supposed to be a family setting, which is a neat thing that we see in our classroom. The children will rely on each other, because I have first, second, and third graders. They work wonderful together. They learn a lot from each other. And the neat part is we have mastery learning, which means that they teach one another while teaching themselves. The different kind of technology that we use is a smart board, as you can see in the picture. It's very vital to my classroom. I use it for all of our different centers: math, social studies, science, and reading first, our English language, and writing as well, I'm sorry. Aside from that, we use an InterWrite, which is a really fun tool to use with the smart board. We use computers, and we have an Elmo that we put a lot of our overheads on. It's in color, so it makes it a lot easier to learn with. So with all that being said, that is our classroom. Everything is in small groups, which makes it really nice for the children. It's a lot, smaller number, one-on-one with the teacher and with my aide. Therefore, the children get a lot of reteaching and extra attention. So in other words, that's a math class.
And next, my learning specialist extraordinaire, Mrs. D. Robb.
I'm just going to talk briefly on some of the programs that we have that are in addition to classroom instruction and go across grade levels. The first one are Math Stars and Super Solvers. Math Stars we've been doing for several years, and it's first grade through sixth grade. It's a way to encourage students to learn the basic math facts. There are 5 tests, quizzes that they take. They practice weekly. They're recognized at our school-wide meeting when they pass all 5 of them. Some of them have even gone on to work on the facts for the following grade level. Super Solvers, we started this year. We run that out at the Learning Center. The 6th graders came up with the name, and that is a program to facilitate and foster problem solving and learning math strategies. They they work on, there are 5 different events that they do throughout the year. They're quizzes tightly aligned with the curriculum at their grade level. We recognize them, the teachers, we track their progress. The teachers can use the materials because they're so tightly aligned to track and refocus their instruction as needed. And then we recognize these students at the end of the year with pins and trophies and certificates of participation. For reading, we have, let me see now. Probably Books for Bingo is our most popular reading event, and that culminates March, Reading Month. At each of the classroom teachers will give their students a challenge for reading for that month, and those students that meet that challenge are invited down to play bingo at the end of the month, and for prizes they get books. The last bingo game of the day is when that child bingoes at a table, everybody goes up to get a book so that they all leave with at least a book. Many of them leave with 3, 4, even 5 books. We have Accelerated Reader. We started a couple years ago. We've tried to resurrect that. We're getting it into more classrooms. And those are comprehension quizzes that the kids do based on books that they select at the Learning Center and read independently. We've also purchased some quizzes that align with the Houghton Mifflin stories that they read in their textbooks. Let me see, I'm sure I'm probably going to forget something on reading. Oh, as part of Reading Month, the kids look forward to the decorations of the doors. Every staff member, from our cafeteria workers, the secretary, everyone decorates their door with their favorite book. And then these slips are put out. Students sign up for the book that they enjoy the most, and we pick a day. The staff become storytellers, and they go down and listen to their book. And we get a mix. It's kind of nice. Kids like it. We get a mix of kindergarten, first, second. We get all sorts of grade levels listening to the same book. Accelerate Reader I told you about. We'll move on to Writer's Rock. And this is something that we started out at the Learning Center this year. School-wide, the school focuses on a writing trait, a different trait every month. And at the end of the month, teachers will select a couple of students who have done a really good job of putting that trait into their writing. They bring their papers down and we mount them, take their pictures, put them up on the wall. They were pretty proud to see their pictures there. At the end of the month, they come down and they take the whole thing home to their parents. We also recognize these students at our school-wide monthly meetings with a writer's pencil. So, okay, our teacher and parent resource rooms. The parent resource room started as out of need about, this is a third year for it. We had some parents who had gone back to classes but didn't have access to the internet. So we set up a couple of computers in a room for them. They can come in, it's open the entire school day. They can sit there and work as long as they need to. We also started putting things in it, parent resources, things and ways that they can help their child succeed in school. And we now have several games, activities, manipulatives, things that they can check out, take home, and use with their kids at home, bring back, and turn them back in for something different. This year, our Reading First coach and myself pooled our resources to make a teacher resource room as well. So we have a lot of resources set up, more than any teacher could have, outfitting their entire room. We have reading, math, and writing resources, center activities, manipulatives, professional development books, and this has become an instant success. In fact, as teachers see boxes come in of things that we've ordered, it's almost hard to get the pockets on them for checkout before they are wanting to use them in the classroom. So that's also has been a pretty popular and useful resource.
Thank you.
Right.
Our school-wide activity meetings are held the first Thursday of the month. And this is when we build community and enculturate our kids. We'll talk about things that concern us, whether it's discipline or happy things, celebrations. We celebrate with the math stars, the super solvers. They get T-shirts, and the writers, they get a pencil, as Mrs. Robb explained. So this is kind of like our family time, and it's really nice. This was a kindergarten presentation. Each grade level presents something for our school-wide activity meeting. And last but not least, our newest partner is Public Service Credit Union. So we're just ending our cycle with our bookstore, and now we're going to have a credit union. So all of the students will have a savings account, a college savings account. They'll be depositing real money, and that money stays there. And the credit union is also going to provide workshops for us in the fall for parents, basic banking, portfolios, investments, mortgages. But for this year, because we're starting so late in the year, we'll have about 4 banking days. And our grand opening for our credit union is May 16th, 2008, and you'll get some information about that later. So that concludes our presentation. Thank you for supporting us.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams, and also the Merriman staff and students and their families. Great presentation. Next, we have what some people like to call the 4th R in education, and that's art. Carrie Dygert is here to tell us a little bit about our art program.
If I could have, I'm taking over her slots. If it comes back. Well, my name is Carrie Dygert, and I'm the Romulus Community Art teacher. And behind me is, oops, I'm sorry. I'm so used to speaking loudly. Okay, good evening. My name is Carrie Dygert, and I'm the Romulus Community Elementary Art teacher. And behind me is Shonda Thesis. She's the Romulus High School art teacher. I'll be presenting for the first half of the program, and Shonda, the second half. Please excuse me. Oops, sorry. Okay. This is actually a group of my students. I did a after-school program that combined math and art in the first half of the school year over at Hale Creek, and these are a couple of my students. I would like to start off saying that my presentation is broken into 6 parts. It's broken into the components of my program, the positives, the barriers, the expected student performance, the impact on learning, and the future goals for the visual art program. Before I go any further, the artwork that's displayed on each slide has a caption near it. The caption tells you a little bit about the lesson that that's on the slide, and also the glick that that lesson was inspired by. So to begin, part 1, the components of the visual arts program. As the educational landscape changes, so does the art program. The art program has transformed from a craft-producing subject to a different approach of reinforcing concepts taught in the classroom. Students get a brief exposure to art, creating art, art vocabulary, and how art is connected to their world and what they are learning in the classroom. Evidence of current art instruction is visually evident throughout the school. Part 2, the positives of the art program. Consumable and non-consumable art materials are available to the art teacher and are budgeted for each art room. The art rooms are accessible to all students, including those with physical disabilities. Visual arts instruction is provided for students receiving special education who are not included in regular visual art classes. Part 3, the program performance goals for students. Students experience different art techniques and skills. For example, they get to work with clay, building sculptures. There's different kinds of paints that they get to experiment with. And also they learn how to make 2D, look 3D in their artwork. And that's some of the things that we cover. Students develop our aesthetic sensitivity and appreciation. They experience varied and abundant opportunities for creativity and personal expression. Students develop a sense of personal worth, which is derived from creating original artworks. They develop a knowledge of art appreciation. This will help them to see parallels between themselves and past and present cultures. In other words, students learn a different way of seeing the world. Students develop personal initiatives, self-expression, and original thinking at the individual's level of development. They develop visual, tactile, and emotional awareness of their environment. In art, concepts are copied but not duplicated. Students are encouraged to study their world and apply those concepts to their work. And finally, students develop skills in personal satisfaction in quality design and craftsmanship. They develop a sense of pride. They develop flexible problem-solving skills through creative thinking. Part 4, research says that the impact of visual arts on student performance is often students enjoy their overall school experience more because art touches on areas not addressed in other classes. Being able to make art is very important to many children, and some may attend schools more regularly when there is a good art program. It is often during art instruction that students have opportunities to express ideas, opinions, and judgments through their own art production. Students are praised for their uniqueness of their work rather than its uniformity to predetermined standard or response. Part 5. What are some of the barriers to student achievement in the art programs? Instruction time with each grade level is not unified across the district. For example, I've labeled schools A through F. School A, their sixth graders have art for an hour for a full year. School B, their sixth graders don't have art at all. School C sixth graders have art for 50 minutes for a half a year. School D and E sixth graders have art for 50 minutes or 50 minutes for 10 weeks. And School F sixth graders have art for half the year. But for the first 10 weeks, they have art for an hour. The last 10 weeks, they have art for half an hour. Two more barriers is the delivery of art instruction to all 6 elementary schools is done by one art teacher. The teacher-pupil ratio in visual arts is one art teacher per 1,850 students at the elementary level. Part 6, the future vision for the art program. Artists and museums of the local community are utilized when available to enhance and strengthen the visual arts curriculum. There's a program at the Detroit Institute of Art that will come in, their curators will come into the schools and give a brief presentation about any kind of art history that you're teaching at that time. There's also, I would like to see the return of the school calendar featuring the student artwork. I believe that it may help promote potential students and their families and also retain current students. I would also like to see a prominent display of student artwork at the board office. In other words, I would like to turn this office into a gallery. And also, I would like to have more time, please, to correspond with teachers to more fully integrate art into their classroom curriculum. The special experiences designed for gifted and talented students according to their abilities and interests, I would like to see more of that. What's already been done, as in the beginning of the presentation, you saw a picture of my students in the after-school program. Years past, we had a summer school gifted and talented program, which was a wonderful opportunity. Also, at a school, I have students paint ceiling tiles based on their favorite subject learned in school. And then also, I have a student who took one of my art lessons, and she recreated it at Boys and Girls Club. And she actually was entered into a contest and won. And this is a brief interview of Kamaria. And if you look to the lower right-hand corner, that is an example of the project that gave her, well, that she won with.
I made one for one of the workers at Boys and Girls Club, and she said that she asked me if she could enter it into the fine arts because she thought that I was really good, and she did, and then she said I never won really anything at Boys and Girls Club. My art teacher. Oh yeah, I got an invitation to Cincinnati, Ohio, and we had to go to a dinner banquet, and my grandma and my grandpa and my mom and my sister went. Can't wait till I win the nationals.
Very nice.
And finally, they develop, and also students develop skills in personal satisfaction and quality design and craftsmanship, as Kamaria just showed you. Oops. And they develop flexible problem-solving skills through creative thinking. Part 4. Oops. Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. I'm sorry. Finally, to develop the skills to sustain visual arts programs with the ever-changing curriculum standards, here's a proposal. The district provides a regular program on an in-service education that includes at least 2 to 5 paid days for professional development activities arranged by the district that pertains to visual arts education, or the visual arts educator is permitted by at least 2 paid days of leave each year for professional development activities proposed by the visual arts teacher and approved by the district or school. So, in other words, you know, the DIA has a lot of great programs that teaches you how to combine art with the math and language arts. So, thank you very much, and now Shonda Thesis.
Hi, everybody. I'm Shanda Thies. I'm not going to take that much time. I actually have a student here because I think what I say, of course I'm going to tell you my program's great because I believe in it, but I have students here. I had requested 3, 2 of them couldn't show up, but I do have one great student here, and I will introduce him in just a moment. But I wanted to kind of build on what Carrie was just talking about with how art can help enhance other classes, math and science. I have given you guys a copy of a sheet called Brain-Based Research. I am not going to go over all the details, but it's just supporting documents that prove that art makes a difference. I also received this magazine just yesterday. It's the National Education Association magazine. It had a wonderful article that I copied for you with more documentation about how art improves learning in our students. And I wanted to bring some things that my students have created because what I can show you is going to tell you much more than what I can say. Okay, so I can read these things for you. This is on the first worksheet I talked about, brain-based research, how art improves academic scores. And I actually have tests for you to take a look at. Students are challenged to use problem-solving skills in such a different way in art, which I find carries over into their math, science, social studies, and reading classes. One of the most powerful benefits is the sharing of cross-curricular heritage. Learning about other cultures, learning about each other is so important. And where else can we do that but art? It is the natural fit for that. Next, I'm preparing my students for the future. And Marcus is here to kind of tell you what he's going on to do with his future. More students graduate because they have increased interest in art. Fine arts foster social skills and teamwork. What do employers want? They want creative thinkers, creative problem solvers, and they want team players. My classroom fosters all 3 of those. Finally, my classroom's a place for everyone, gifted and students with special needs. The arts are commonly used as a communication tool for art therapy. It is a growing field. Improves thinking and visual skills in students with learning disabilities. Making art is a highly cognitive process. It takes a lot of thought. I don't give them the answer. There's so many answers for one problem. Making art involves critical and creative thinking. The integration of art improves competency scores in core academic subjects. With that, I can let you guys read this. I want to show you a couple of the things that my students have done and how I've integrated, first of all, science in my classroom, where they actually take a science test at the end of the project. Okay, so I'm going to actually give this mic over to Carrie so I can actually show you this. My students started off, they learned about entomology, the study of insects. They had to first create posters, they were discovering new insects. So we learned that all insects have certain body parts, and all of them have a head, a thorax, and abdomen, 6 legs, 2 antennae. They even learned more specific, femur, tibia, tarsus. They learned mandible. These are things that they won't forget because not only have I taught them on the overhead, but they've had to create artwork that is labeled that shows that. So I'm going to just hand this around. After they did that, they had to create an insect out of paper mache with those parts. When they're all finished, we're going to put these together. This is going to be an installation where the artwork is displayed together as one unified piece. As a group, the team came up with the theme that the insects were going to be in. They are candy, in case you can't see that. They're supposed to look like candy. These are high school students. They chose this. Okay, so I'm integrating science. When they were finished, they actually took a test on science-related materials. Very little art in here. They had to label the insect. They also had to know the life cycle of the insect. And I'll let you take a look at that as well. In my crafts class, they actually studied geometry. We learned about Frank Lloyd Wright. We learned that you can integrate math into art and create beautiful art. They did not even realize they were learning math until we did a visual dictionary that looks like this. Looks like a math class. They were complaining at first. You can see how they had to draw the picture and they had to write the definition. I'll give you that to take a look at. And then after they finished, they created these beautiful stained glass windows. See this? Beautiful stained glass windows. This is all math. After they were finished, they took a math test. They took a math test. So these are just a couple of examples, but I'm very cross-curricular in my classroom. Art-centered schools predominantly score 20 points higher than other schools that do not have art programs. Studies report strong links between visual learning and improvement in reading. Visual arts improve reading and math, and I've backed those up with the sheets that you have there. So if you wanted to look, you can find that I'm not just telling you this stuff. It's very important. Art equals successful Romulus students, and that's what we want. The 3 leading countries that score high are Japan, Hungary, and the Netherlands. They are among the highest ranking countries in math and science scores. They have all integrated art training right into their curriculum. Thinking in art is followed by improved thinking across the curriculum. I believe that's the last one. Okay, I would like to introduce Marcus Darden. He's one of my star students. I've been lucky to have him for 2 years or 3 years? 3 years. He's just going to tell you about why art's important to him. Thank you, Marcus.
How you doing? Well, one of the reasons why I draw is because I try to let people see the world in a different perspective. Like, as in, like when you draw, sometimes things ain't always what they seem to be. And so that gives life a brand new meaning. You know, so like certain things I was doing before drawing, well, I can't really say because I wasn't doing anything at all. You know, I can't play sports, I can't dance, I can't do nothing. So art is like the main thing I was looking forward to because that's all I knew growing up. So I'm just saying, like, taking away, if you or anybody else ever took away art, well then that'll take a lot of people's futures away because some people see the same thing that I see. And I just wanted to let y'all know that.
Can I ask a question? Is a young lady in the audience that won that,
No, unfortunately she's not.
that's too bad. I would have liked to have met her personally.
Well, that could be arranged.
Thank you. Okay. I think that would be nice. Before June 30th.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And Shonda, I owe you an apology. I didn't know you were coming tonight. I'm sorry I didn't introduce you up front, but I'm glad you came. Okay. Near and dear to every educator and every board member's heart are our overall academic benchmarks for our students that are set forth in our state test, also known as the MEP. Next presentation you're going to see is a little bit of data from this fall's MEP test, and students were assessed in grades 3 through 8, and we have our two part-time curriculum coordinators. We have Ms. Diane Golka and Mr. Dan Hurst to give the board an update on this year's MEP results.
Hi, I'm good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome back, Betty.
Thank you.
Hope you're feeling better. I told Carl when I called over today, I said, where do you have us? You cannot ever, as a presenter, follow kids. And I also now will add to that list, or art teachers. It makes you look bad. The presentation, as Carl had mentioned, is about the MEP results. And as you probably are aware, the MEP was given in October, early October. A few years ago, the MEP was given halfway through the year. But they changed that for a variety of reasons, one of which includes that they allows the assessments that they're given to test a full year as opposed to partial year. It also assesses what students retained over the summer. It also allows administrators or teachers to start teaching the new curriculum earlier as opposed to waiting for half a year. It also gets the results back sooner. So we'll start with that. Results from the first slide. The first slide. The first slide is 9th grade. One of the MEP tests 3 through 8th, English and math. 2 areas outside of that is social studies and science. Science is tested in both the 6th and 9th. And as far as the 9th grade, that's the only class at the high school that will be tested in MEP. All the other ones, as their junior year, it's tested in MME. Those results aren't all back yet. So the 9th grade is tested in social studies, but what's also important to remember through this presentation is that any slide that you're looking at, if it has a particular grade up there, it's not assessing that specific year, it's testing the year or 2 years prior to that. So in this case, 9th graders are taking in October, but it's actually assessing the curriculum and instruction the year 2 years prior in this case, so it'll be 7th and 8th grade. The first column talks about the levels, and level 1, I want to read it so I get it exactly the way the document states. Level 1 is advanced. Student performance exceeds grade level expectations. Level 2 is proficient, indicating understanding and application of the key GLICs, or the standards. Level 3 is partially proficient, which obviously partial understanding. Level 4 is minimal understanding, and they need intensive intervention. And you'll see those levels throughout the slides. So obviously, we want 1 and 2, that's proficient level. The second column that just escaped is state as we go down the list, and the third is our district. So you can see here the numbers speak for themselves. The state average for proficient 1 and 2 was at 71%, and we had 48%. Okay. Second, 8th grade. The ELA is English Language Arts. And that's a combined score. 2/3 of that score is the reading score, and 1/3 of that score is writing, and it's a combined score, then math and science. The second column, again, state, that's the percent that received proficiency, 1 and 2s in those content areas. Our district level, and AYP. Now the AYP is a cut score that the state sets up. And you have to at least get that score in order to make AYP. All the district made AYP because all the schools met that cut score. But as you can see in English Language Arts for 8th grade, and again, this really reflects, remember, keep in mind, the year before, it's reflecting the 7th grade curriculum instruction. We were over AYP, however, we're below the state, and the same thing for math. Science doesn't show an AYP score because at this point in time, science is not included as part of your AYP. Grade 8, in reading. This is a little bit different this year. We're presenting it. In the past, if you notice over to the right, green is 2005, 2006, and 7. In the past, that would have just represented different grades going through. This is somewhat different in that it represents a cohort, which means that every one of those are the same kids. So in the green, for instance, under level 1 and 2, in 2005, that was 6th graders. The following one is the same kids in 7th grade, and the following the same kids in 8th grade. But remembering again, it's reflecting, in each one of those columns, it's reflecting the curriculum and instruction from the year before. So as you can see in level 4, in 2006 to 2007, the level 4 went down, and we definitely want those numbers, those columns to be going down. In level 3, it went up slightly, which is good. And then in level 1 and 2, compared to 2005 to 2007, what we're looking at, what we want to have happen there, is looking at years growth academically. So we need improvement there. In writing, same thing. It's a cohort representing 6, 7, and 8 going across. And again, we see in level 4, numbers went up. Level 3, they went up. And level 1 and 2, down. We'd like that to have the perfect situation that would be just the opposite. The green would be the just the other way around. So they would be going up as opposed to going down. So again, areas needing improvement in writing. Next one in math. Again, we're looking at 4. 4 went up slightly from 06, or 05 to 06. And then in level 3 went down somewhat. And in levels 1 and 2, it went up. And you would think that perhaps some of the kids in level 3 moved to level 1 or 2, which is, again, what we want to have happen. In science, you notice there's only one column here. And the reason for that is because, as I mentioned, the science is given in 5th and 8th grade. So we don't have that cohort to follow at the moment because this is the first time that they've taken it. So we've got the kids just in 8th grade. Because again, the 6th and 7th did not take the science portion. So this is just comparing district to state scores. So again, the white is the district and the colored is the state. And you notice again in level 4 is up slightly. And where we are with the state, we need to again score higher, minimally, to be at least at where the state's at. The next one shows the 7th grade breakdown. And again, we're looking at this with the English language arts. Again, reminder, 2/3 of the English language arts is reading, 1/3 is writing, and then there's the math. With regards to the 7th grade, we're looking at the state, 74%, the district, 60%, and again, AYP is 54. And like we did in 8th grade, the 7th grade also has met AYP. They're above the cutoff scores, therefore, while we made AYP, but yet under the state average of proficiency. Grade 7 in math, again, we're looking at the cohort again. So those, the purple is in 1 and 2 would show the 5th graders. The second is the 6th, and the 7th. This is when they were in those grades. So it's the same kids all the way along. And we're looking here in level 4. The 07 went down slightly, which is what you'd want. Level 3 went up slightly, which is what you would want. And then level 1 and 2 are staying somewhat together, but obviously our goal would be to move some of those level 3s, more of those level 3s to 1 and 2. In writing, oops, I think it's the same one. In writing, again, level 4, many of the numbers are low there, but again, we're looking at in writing, these are again 6th graders as far as the assessments go. We're looking at a 6th grade curriculum that's being assessed. So going across again, we're looking at from 05 to 07 it went up, but we had to drop there from 06. Always trying to get the numbers in level 4 down, moving up a little bit in level 3, and obviously continue to rise in each year in level 1 and 2 to show annual growth. Reading, obviously showing a need in the upper L in regards to putting up some more attention towards improving reading. Level 4s went up, level 3s, and level 1 and 2, and again looking at 07 going down from the year before. And again, we know that the assessments are somewhat more difficult every year, But again, our goal is to show improvement each year. And the next slide will take us for Diane, we'll talk about the elementary.
Good evening. All right, we're going to begin looking at 6th grade, as I want to remind you, as Dan has, that we are really assessing the 5th grade GLICs. Okay? So we're going to find out what they can do, although it's assessed when they are starting the beginning of 6th grade. The AYP for this year went up, the cut scores went up to 59% for the ELA and 65% for math. Social studies, we do not have, it's not part of the AYP as of yet. If you look, we're right on target we're right where the state, right with them, 80% state, 80% district. Math, just a little drop there, 2%, 73% to 71% for the district. And social studies, 73% was for the state and 61% for the district. So I do feel we're making good gains with social studies. Okay. Look at the first graph, and of course that's reading. As you see, we've made some gains for 2007 in reading. If we start at the right again, we're looking at those students in 3rd grade, 4th grade in 2006, and in 2007, those same students in, they would be 5th grade GLICs but tested at 6. It's kind of it looks pretty good there at level 1 and 2. Those are that's where we're going to find proficiency. Level 3, you're seeing the decrease, seeing it go down. This is kind of a perfect slide, actually, for us here in Romulus. And of course, we see the decrease in level 4, and that's exactly what we want to see. In writing, again, we've made some gains, some good gains. And also, you see our level 3 is decreasing, and also level 4. And it's good to see there's not a whole lot of, we're below 10% in level 4, and that's good. In math, we haven't made any great gains, and we haven't really decreased, and we're just kind of flat there. Also, you can see that in level 3, there's a decrease. Level 4, there was somewhat of an increase, and still we're below 10%. Social studies, again, we're just looking at where we are at with the district and the state. I think the graph is self-explanatory. 5th grade. Here, the same cut scores, 59% and 65%. ELA at the state was 78%, the district 70%. Math, 74% for state, 71% for district. And science, 82% for the state and 61% for science. And there's, again, that isn't part of the AYP as of yet. Perhaps next year it will be. 5th grade reading, starting from the right, those students would have been 2nd graders would be they would be tested as 3rd grade, but they would be 2nd grade GLICs, then 3rd grade, and then 4th grade. So actually, the white is they are in 5th grade, but they are being tested for 4th grade GLICs in mid-October. Writing, we're staying pretty much the same at level 4, although in 2006, there was none of our students were at level 4. Level 3, again, you're seeing a decrease and some increase. Actually, we're kind of maintaining ourselves at level 1 and 2, which is where we want to see that proficiency. Math, again, this particular slide is probably not the perfect slide here because you're seeing some increase in level 3s and 4s and a decrease in level 1 and 2. Although we're still proficient. We're still making AYP. Science, we are now just comparing ourselves to the state. The district is the red, and we're a little below where the state is at level 3. Again, we are below, but we are, I think we're looking at some new math kits that are going to be aligned with the GLICs, and certainly hopefully this will help us in the area of science. 4th grade, again, the cut scores were 59%, 65%. Our ELA for state this year was 76% and district 69%. Math 86%, and district was 82%. Pretty close to state level. Here we've gone down, not significantly, but we have gone down at the proficient level, level 1 and 2, and we have had some increase in level 3 and 4. Writing, we see that again, we're only going to have 2 years of with these students because we had them in 2nd grade and 3rd grade. In 3rd grade, you can see we were almost at 10% in level 4 and had a significant decrease at level 4 in 07. Again, moving on to reading. He's going to whip me through this now. This one here, again, you've got pretty self-explanatory. And now we're at 3rd grade. And again, the same cut scores. Our ELA at the state was 81%, district 77%. Math, the state was 90%, and the district was 82%. Again, we made AYP, we were above that 59 and 65%. And of course, we have just one graph for 3rd grade. This was their first year of MEP. These were 2nd graders taking MEP at the beginning of 3rd grade. And so you can see what that graph looks like. Okay. All right, Dan. You have some things to say.
So that brings the end to the slideshow. So that's a lot of information to give you all at once. And you kind of ask yourself, so what does it mean? Where do we go? Well, the MEP is designed, of course, to assess strengths and weaknesses of a curriculum. It also provides consistency throughout the state. Obviously, in doing that, it provides consistency in the district. So some of our challenges, goals, we've made AYP, so those numbers are there, and the numbers, the cut scores are stable for 3 years. Where our goal is, and our challenges, is to get to the state level. And at this point in time, we're going to be putting things in place. One of the first things, obviously, is making sure, because what's being assessed are the GLICs, so to making sure that every school, K through 12, is in line with the state, and that we are indeed teaching the GLICs, and that they're all being assessed. We're also looking at textbook adoptions in science and social studies and math. We're looking at professional development, K-12, making sure that all the teachers are being trained and getting the opportunities to help bring about strategies that are going to help improve the test scores. There's a number of other challenges, but I feel very strong in the opinion that we have a staff, K-12, that have the skills, the passion, and the commitment to see it through and get it done. So tonight is not the end of the story, it's just the beginning. So hopefully we'll come back, show you some progress, and we'll move from there. So at this point in time, unless there's questions, we are finished.
Mr. President, I got a question.
Scooter?
Ms. Golka, the data that you provided to us for the elementary, that's all the district. It's not one particular school. That's all the districts combined, correct?
That is district.
Is there a way that we can get that data by school? Okay, great.
Absolutely.
We anticipated that question. Believe it or not, we tried to keep the number of slides limited. I know it may not seem that way, but with the new MEP, there's a lot more data to present, and so we thought we would give you the trend data on the district, but also provide individual building data. That's what I'll pass back. Thank you, folks. Nice job. Okay, next, have a recommendation regarding schools of choice. You wanna read it, or you want me to read it?
You can go ahead.
Oh, here,
Okay.
no. My bad. Never mind. I had it. Okay.
A recommendation is that the board declare all schools grades K-8 as limited schools of choice under section 105 of the school code. Enrollment will be limited to 10 slots per grade, kindergarten through 8th grade. Again, this allows the district to take in a limited number of students to hopefully buffer some students that we may have whose families are leaving the area.
We would need a motion and support for the limited schools of choice.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we declare all schools grades K through 8 as limited schools of choice under section 105 of the school code. Enrollment will be limited to 10 slots per grade, kindergarten through 8th grade.
Support.
We have a motion by Mrs. Buckley, support by Mrs. Manassi to recommend the approval of the motion. Do we have any questions or concerns from board members?
Mr. President, I have a
Ms.
question. To Superintendent Weiss, what currently do we have in our district for our schools of choice?
This is, we're nearing the end of our second year with the Schools of Choice program. Our first year, we took in about 36 students. Our second year, we took in about 96 students. And again, it was never our goal to take in hundreds and hundreds of students. The idea is that the School of Choice students will help us, again, as I said, to buffer students we may be losing, but also to kind of round out our grade levels too, so that we could reduce the number of split classrooms at the elementary, and so that we can have full teams in the middle school.
Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns?
One
Mrs.
question,
Rossman?
and which schools did we have open last year?
Last year, we had all of our elementaries except for Barth, and we had 7th grade only at the middle school. So the change this year is we opened up K-8 all schools, and that will allow us to move the student, to take the School of Choice students where we can fit them, not, so that we're not compounding overcrowding problems in some schools and adding splits at others, but to reduce any overcrowding, and again, to reduce or eliminate the splits at the elementary class.
Anyone else?
And what kind of screening, Carl, is done on the students that?
It's a good question. Do we take just anybody? The rules under School of Choice allow us to exclude students who have any kind of record of suspension or expulsion. We check those records very carefully. We have a two-step process. The first thing is there's a checkoff on the School of Choice enrollment form where the parent has to tell us, if their child has ever been suspended or expelled, and if they have, we really don't get involved in a discussion about the reason. We just don't take them. The other thing is when each principal gets a list of their School of Choice students, those principals are directed to contact the sending school just to verify that there hasn't been any suspension or expulsion.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, we will take a vote. All those in favor of the recommendation say yes.
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 All those opposed say no. The motion is passed on a 7-0 vote.
All right, next item, Mr. President, is a recommendation to dispose of some surplus equipment.
We need a motion.
Mr. President, I'll make the motion. that we declare 12 chairs, one table, 7 cot surplus, and that they be donated to Refuge Community Child Care in Romulus.
Support.
It's Celeste.
Celeste, yes. We have a motion by Mrs. Buckley, supported by Mrs. Roscoe, to approve the recommendation on the surplus equipment. Do we have any questions or concerns from board members? Seeing none, we will take a vote. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. The opposed say no. Motion passes on a 7-0 vote. Next item should be communications and expressions from the public. We have one request to speak. We would ask the person, when you're called, to come forward, stand in the taped square, use the microphone, give us your name and address, and then continue. Dean Burcroft.
Thank you, Board. My name is Dean Burcroft. I'm a senior at Romulus High School. My address is 36750 Wick. I'm before you tonight to tell you about my senior project. I'm sure you all know what that is. For this year, I'm going to chair the Romulus City Clean Sweep and try and make more of an impact there. I come for you tonight to see if I can get some more support and people, basically workers, for the Clean Sweep from the schools, because traditionally, you know, the turnout's been rather low. But the Clean Sweep is going to be Saturday, May 17th, 2008, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the City Hall there. I got a couple flyers to pass out when done. But I was wanted to know if you had any ideas on how to get some more involvement from the schools and maybe the kids. I mean, I see a few teachers here. I mean, it's a good project. We clean up the city. We draw people in, make it look better, and plant some flowers, you know. So.
What time do you start?
9 a.m. at
9
City Hall.
a.m.
Yep.
Okay.
One suggestion, I think you need to get some flyers out to each one of the buildings.
All right. I got a sample of the flyer here.
I could suggest you leave a copy
This is a
with
good
me.
thing, 'cause
I'll make sure that
I've
gets
been
distributed
with
to every
them
building.
before.
Mr. President, I have a question.
Yeah.
How do we sign up? Is it on this flyer here?
No, you just show up.
Just show up.
Just show up Saturday the 17th at 9 a.m. at City Hall, and they'll give you a trash poker and a garbage bag, and you designate what area of the city you want to clean up. So if you want to get your street,
Yeah,
that's
you guys
fine.
come down my street. That's what
Yeah.
My yard would be great. A little raking. Yeah.
I have a question.
Very good.
Yeah.
Ms.
Dean,
Roscoe?
Are you using this as your impact?
Yeah, this is going to be both my impact and my product, because my new skill is going to be administration, and I'm learning to chair it and get the people involved, which is why I'm here. And that's going to be both my product and my impact. My impact is actually going to be getting the city clean, and the product is the sweep
And your
itself.
social issue?
It's urban blight and pollution, and just aesthetics in general of a city.
I'm gonna make a list for you of places I think you need to go.
Hey, I would be open to that, actually.
Mr. Hurst?
Ms. Golka had a recommendation to contact the parent coordinators, the parent groups in the elementary schools.
Oh, that
From
would be
each
good.
elementary,
Yeah.
yeah. And I talked to Mr. Kudrick the other day about talking to Boy Scouts, and I'm gonna get. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, get the girls. You got somebody in the back, Mr. Ken.
Yeah.
What?
Thank you. And that's.
I also know that the athletic teams were supposed to, I don't know if they still do this, we're supposed to involve ourselves in one community project within the course of the year. And so it'd probably be good to suggest it to them. I know a lot of them don't follow through and do that, but I know it is a suggestion that they do that through the course of the year.
Thank you. And I mean, that's pretty much it. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will go back to Superintendent Weiss.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before I get to my pre-printed list, I'd like to also, on behalf of the board, welcome back Mrs. Sherry Topazoglu from what seemed like a very long maternity leave, but we're glad to have her back.
Thank you, thank you.
Now we're hitting on all of our cylinders here. Anyway, I have some great news to report to the board. Our robotics team from the high school did very well in local competition, and then they went to national competition in Georgia, and you have some documentation in your packet on the outcomes of that. They didn't win the whole thing, but they made a very nice showing. Also have a newsletter from Barth, and a new feature that Mrs. Golka reminded me about in the Barth newsletter is it's a participatory newsletter in that the students also take a hand in that. And if you haven't purchased your Chico bag over at Barth, you know, or if you don't know what a Chico bag is, you know, you need to read that newspaper and find out. Also, an invitation for to attend the play at Merriman, and it is on the, was it the 13th? The 13th of May at 1:15? Okay, 1:15 and 3 o'clock. So those of us that, you know, get off work early, or
Not
free during the day.
1:15.
Not that early, I
Not
know.
that early.
All right. Anyway, that should be a wonderful thing. Also, know that the airport, most of the residents of Romulus are aware that the airport is conducting a series of open houses, and very good information about the airport's plans and priorities for the upcoming years. Encourage board members and others to take a look. And one other thing I want to defer from my list again, that was last Thursday I had the pleasure of accompanying our Board of Education members to an honors banquet that was held over at South Redford at Thurston High School. And we had 3 board members that were recognized, each one of them, I believe, for multiple accomplishments through their MASB. And the reason that they're recognized, I want to be clear on this, is because not only do our students go to school and do our teachers go to school, but our board members also go to school. They take Board of Education certification classes, which are designed to make them better board members. It's hard to believe that you could get better than you are, you know, but you can, and you take those classes. And we had Mrs. Buckley and also Mr. Mankiewicz and Mr. Kuderick, who were recognized amongst Wayne County's finest board members last Thursday night. So give them a round of applause. We appreciate all of you. And that's all I have.
Okay, next item on the agenda, questions and/or concerns of board members. Do we have any board members who would like to make comments? Seeing none, we will move on. The next portion of our agenda will be an executive session dealing with contract negotiations. We will need a motion and support to go to executive session.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Kuderick, supported by Mrs. Buckley, to go to the executive session. We now need a roll call vote.
Ms. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Frere?
Yes.
Ms. Buckley?
Yes.
Ms. Lanasi?
Yes.
Mr. Mankiewicz?
Yes.
Mr. Kuderick, yes.
I might add that when we come back from executive session, there will be some actions taken. At this point, we will adjourn for executive session.
7:40.
We need a motion and support to reconvene into regular session.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion we reconvene back from executive session.
Support.
8:39? Yeah. 8:39.
All right, now, we need a roll call vote.
Ms. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Frere?
Yes.
Ms. Buckley?
Yes.
Ms. Lanasi?
Yes.
Mr. Mankiewicz?
Yes.
Mr. Kuderick?
All right, we are back into regular session. we will be dealing with, motions dealing with employment of the Director of Curriculum and employment of Director of Human Resources. And we would need a motion and support. Let's start with Director of Curriculum first.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion, please.
Mr. Goodrich?
The recommendation, move the Board of Education accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the contract with PCMI to fill the Director of Curriculum position effective July 1st, 2008 through June 30th, 2009 at the rate of $461.09 per day, not to exceed $106,050 per year.
Support. Whatever. It's okay.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Kuderick, supported by Mrs. Lanasi, to accept the recommendation of hiring for the curriculum position through PCMI. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed, say no. That gives us a 7-0 vote, motion passes. The next item is dealing with the Director of Human Resources, and motion support there.
I move
Okay.
that-
Go ahead, Betty.
Go ahead.
Or-
You go ahead.
I'll
Go
just
on,
support.
go on, go on.
Somebody.
I move that the board accept the recommendation of the superintendent that James Baker be appointed Director of Human Resource for Romulus Community Schools with a 2-year contract effective July 1st, 2008, at an annual salary of $106,050.
Support.
Supported it?
Prayer.
Prayer.
All right, we have a motion by Mrs. Kraut, supported by Mrs. Frayer, to accept the recommendation for hiring of the Human Resources Director.
Questions?
Pardon?
After the motion.
Does any board members have any questions?
Yes, Mr. President, I got a question for the superintendent on this. During the interviews, each union did have representation during the interviews for these positions, correct? For the HR position, correct?
We had the teachers union, we had the president of the teachers union, we also had the president from ASME Local 64 on the initial interview committee. The second round interview was the central office, and the unions were not represented in the second round.
Okay.
Anyone else? All right, then, all those in favor of the motion, say yes.
Yes. Yes.
Opposed, say no. It's a 7-0 vote, motion passes.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is a move for adjournment.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by Mrs. Roscoe, supported by Mrs. Zanati, to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. 7-0 vote, motion passes. We are adjourned.
Congratulations.